Right, so I recently attended Amiga Kickstart's O2 Expo in Notts County Stadium. Now, before I went, I had a strict rule. I am not going to buy anything. I promised myself I'm not going to buy anything. However, I ended up with one of these. Right, so this thing cost me 133 UK pounds, and when I first seen it, and I was with Chris Winter, aka 005 Gamer at the time, and even he said, I don't even know what it does. I'd briefly seen it on Amiga Kit's Facebook page. I just didn't know what it was. So anyway, I had a quick look at it, we had a talk to one of the guys from Amiga Kit, and I walked away and I thought, I quite like it. So I kept on saying to Chris, you know, quite like it, I might get one, and in the end I just went and bought one. So what is it? Essentially it is Amiga Kit. I've got it down as a computer, but it is an A600GS, which stands for game system or gaming system, and the packaging is quite nice. As you can see, there's quite a lot of effort gone into that. So let's open it up and see what we've got inside. So I'll just present you with what you get when you open it. Now, I have opened this, so this is just to show you for the video purposes. So you get the machine just there, and you get a CD32 style controller, and also a book, an instruction book. So we'll get this thing out. Now, one of the reasons why I bought this is because of them. So you can apparently plug your old Amiga 9-pin joysticks into there. Now, I have tested it and tried it, and I've had quite a few issues, which I will explain in a little bit. So on the top, nice little double tick there that also acts as like an air vent. Round the back, you got headphones, then you've got your micro HDMI out, USB-C. You have a USB there, so that has got all my games on it. I got the smallest one I could find. You've got an Ethernet port on the back as well, and you've got another two little USBs at the back. Underneath, that's what it says, A600GS, assembled in Great Britain. And there's not much else to say about the design of it, other than it's quite small and compact. There's your rubber little feet there as well to stop it from moving. So in terms of specs on this thing, there is a video of Matthew from Amiga Kit explaining the full specs. I'll either put some specs on the screen right now, or I'll link the video in the description for you to have a look. But this is Amiga Kit's own. It's not a Raspberry Pi job, I don't think anyway. And it is completely their own design, should we say. So it's literally plug and play for this. And as you can just see there, yeah, A600GS on the back. Right, so also in the box you have a SNES CD32 style controller. Two shoulder buttons there. And on the back you have the Amiga 600 A600GS branding. I'll try not to say Amiga again. And that is essentially a USB. So there was an option to get a mouse as well, which I should have done, but I just thought no. I've got this little mouse here, and as I say, this is one of the reasons why I got this machine, is to play the old 9-pin things. However, I do have the A500 mini USB tank mouse, which works brilliant. You just see the buttons there as well for changing discs and stuff like that. It does feel a little bit cheap. Now I'm going to compare it to that, which I probably shouldn't, but that one feels very robust and well made, and that one is just, yeah, it just feels a little bit too cheap, but it does work well. So we get one of these as well, which is a micro HDMI to a normal HDMI as well. Now also in the box we have the power cord, which I don't think it does work. So originally I plugged it in, and then this button here should obviously give it power on and off, but I've tried a few plugs and sadly it doesn't work, so I've had to use one of my own cables, which, yeah, I would have liked that to be working, because it just saves, you know, unplugging it and plugging it from the back, because there's no actual power button on the machine. So yeah, and that's it really. You get instruction manual as well, which is quite extensive. Now originally I wasn't going to read it, I was just going to like bypass it as I always do, but I've had a few issues, should we say, with the old Amiga joysticks, the 9-pin joysticks, which I'll tell you about in a minute. So I did read that section of the book as well, which tells you how to set it up. But as I say, I've had a few issues, and whatever issues I've had with the machine so far, I'll explain that as we go on. So without further ado, I put some games on a USB stick as well, and it's just a case of basically showing you how to add the games and how it plays and runs. That's all it is today in this video. So without further ado, let's get into it. So just before we do crack on, I'll just read you the first page of the manual. So the A600GS computer is a powerful, easy to use and inexpensive way of running most classic 68K OCS, ECS and AGA games and application software. So classic games can be added and started through the games menu. Well-known applications such as OctaMED, Personal Paint and Directory Opus are ready to run through the pre-installed AmiBench desktop. So not really specs this, but it just features game system menu, AmiBench desktop, up to 1 GB fast memory, 2 joystick ports, which are the 9 pins, micro HDMI with 1080 output, wireless internet, Bluetooth, USB data port ×3, and a 3.5mm stereo output. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but yet you can add external speakers to this thing as well. So that's just a little overview. As I say, I'm not going to go into specs. So what I've done is I've set it up and I've plugged into the internet, and just basically, has it had an update? I don't know. I've done something to it anyway. So anyway, let's take a little look around this machine before we actually go inside, and I'll show you what it does. Right, so we're all plugged in, and before we crack on, we have the controller. We have the A600 mini tank mouse, USB stick just there, my own power cord and the micro HDMI, and just to the right of that there's the speaker port as well. So I'm using that. I'm just going to be running this today just purely stock. Going to be using a virtual keyboard. I'm going to be plugging no keyboard into it, just as it came with the unit and the controller, and obviously that's just one of my own mice. So yeah, any sort of USB mouse where a scroll wheel will work, but yeah, I should have paid the extra tenner for one with a scroll wheel, but anyway. Right, so once it's booted up, you're presented with this screen. Now just sort of ignore, well, no, don't ignore these, but these are games I put on already. So right, so you've got AmiBench, Opus 4, and you've got a current version of OctaMED 8 Sound Studio and Personal Paint, and also you've got a game called Thunderhill as well, which is pre-installed on this. It's the only game that's installed on it. So we just come up to there. So I don't think I've created an account just yet. So games and applications, you click on that and it just brings you back to that. Manage ROM files, system, and there you have what the system is. Copyright 2024 Amiga kit. Audio, just mess around with your HDMI audio and the rear audio socket as well. Display 1920 by 1080 is, which is what we're in now, but you can change it to whatever you want. So I'll just click off that. Controllers. Now this is a bit of an awkward one because you've got the mouse selected now, and you can select your joystick as well, or your joypad. I don't think you have to be honest with you. It just picks it up as a system mouse and a USB gamepad. But when you plug in a 9-pin mouse or joystick, it's supposed to come up here as well, I think. And I cannot for the life of me get it working, but I'll show you that in a minute when we come out of this. So language and keyboard is just your normal standard setup for the UK. So network, I'm currently connected to, let me see, so status offline, IP address none, backup and restore. I haven't really looked much into that one. So it's a V46, I think, the software on this. And the last one is power off and shut down. So let's go back to games and applications. We'll click on AmiBench as well. Click on that and it comes up there. And you just press start and it'll go to AmiBench and load up AmiBench. Let's wait for that to load up. Yeah, AmiBench Release V46.1. So right, one thing I did notice the other day was, so the time now at me recording this is 4:30, and for the life of me, I couldn't change the time. So it says that if you hold the right mouse button and then go to settings, I think it was somewhere, you could change the date. But I couldn't. I just couldn't for the life of me. Move that. Yeah, move that. Right. Oh yeah, there we go. So settings, and it just says about, quit, and lock. So today's date is correct there. It is the 5th. Is it the 5th? No, it's actually no. It's the 4th. And I could not for the life of me change this time on this clock. So if you go to settings there, it just says, where is it? Hands, lock. Oh no, is it? Should we turn the lock off? I think lock just means you can move it. I don't know. Let's go to, see, and that's all I could get from it. I couldn't change the time. I don't know. Let's go to about. So this says clock, copyright Amiga kit limited 2024. So unless I've got to be connected or have an account, I don't know. So that's just like the first little issue I've come to. So let's just click on a few of these. Some of them, again, I don't know what they mean. All I know is that is V46, which is the software. So you got dev system, let's double click on that. Format, manager shell, updater, utilities. Hang on, can we change the clock time? Huh? Information, properties, maybe. We click on properties. Right, okay. Hang on, can we change the time? Tool, what's that mean there? Ooh, I don't know. We'll come back to that one. Yeah, multi-view, commodities, and AB dock. I do apologise if you can hear a magpie outside. Snapshots, none. A600 work, I think that just means for any future downloads, documents, pictures, programs, bit your wallet installed on it. PPaint, the Opus V4 Office Final Writer, and sound, which is obviously Hippo player, OctaMED and Eagle player. Currently there are no mods installed on this. When I say mods, music mods, modules, whatever you call them. I don't know how I'm going to add some of them, but I'm sure I'll find out in due course. So the only thing, I've sort of looked into this and figured out that there's no actual browser. So when this was originally sold to me as like internet connectivity, and I think you can only go on something called AmiSphere, which is just purely for updates. There's no actual search engine or browser as such. So that at the moment is also a little bit of a letdown. Double click on that, just gives you your SanDisk, whatchamacallit, memory stick. And that's about it really for that. It was just, let me see, how do I come out of this now? I think it's just stock. So I think, yeah, to come out of it, you just press your controller, you press start on the controller, and it brings up this. You can use the mouse or controller, use the mouse, confirm quit, and it takes you back to this. Now, just before we crack on with some games, to add games, you just click on add, and it comes up with these. So sort of ignore these, and you want to be going for that. So whatever your memory stick is called, that's what mine's called. Don't click on that there, click on that, and it highlights it, and all my games are in a folder called ADF. Click on that and it'll bring up what is inside of the memory card. So we'll pick one that I haven't installed, which is 3D demo. So we click on both discs and select file, and it gives you an option of renaming them, how you want it to run, category. You can put them into categories. So we'll put this into scene demo because it's a scene demo. Choose thumbnail. I think you've got to import your own because it doesn't pick up anything from the internet. So let me just see that. And then you've got, so you can only select one. So if you click on the first disc and then you just go to exit, edit, and then now you press start, and it's added just here as well. So obviously if you upload the thumbnail, that will appear there. So we'll just click on start and we'll just have a quick little look at this before we crack on with some games. And because it's ADF only, it's basically a floppy emulator, so it's not a WHD load times where it's quite quick. So just before that starts, press start on the controller, and you can have things, something called a disc changer. Sometimes sometimes it does recognize that it is a 2, 3, 4 disc game, and you just basically go to insert disc if you don't want to do it like that. Go to ADF and then just flick down to your disc, use the disc should I say, and it should hopefully just work as it should. So we'll come out of that now and we'll have an external view now, and I'll show you what it's like playing one of my favourite car games of all time on the Amiga, which is Lotus 2. Right, so what we'll do, we will play some, let me give that a bit of volume. Where is Lotus? There we go. So you can rename them. That says Lotus Turbo C for some reason, I don't know why. Red button, which is start, I think, is it? There we go. Oh my god. Press start. So it also gives you a play count as well. How many times you've played it and how long you played the game for as well. So this is the controller as well I'm going to be using, which is not my ideal choice of controller for any Amiga game, because like I've mentioned in the past, we were not brought up playing these kind of controllers on an Amiga. So yeah, it's an easy game to play with a controller. As I say, it's ADF, so it's floppy loading times, emulated floppy loading time, should we say. Right, just press that, come out of that. Nice crisp audio as you'd expect. slow it down a bit actually. So let's just come out of that, press the red button, and so my gears of choice on this game are automatic, and we're just going to play it from the first level. So accelerate, which is the red button, just there. But the only downside to this is if you want to brake, you've got to press that as well, which it was easier on a joystick. You could just have your finger on the button and then just pull down to brake, but it's a bit, yeah, still takes quite a lot of getting used to, but you know, but it runs really well. I mean, obviously everything's not going to run perfect on it, and they did state that in the documentation Amiga kit, that you can't guarantee the smooth running of every application, I think they called it. So there's a few Amiga scene demos I've had issues with, but when I've ran them through WinUAE, it's the same issue, so it's not the machine. Yeah, it's got to be the best driving game ever on the Amiga, this, without a shadow of a doubt. So let me just come out of that. Let me just go to quit, confirm quit, and let's have another game before we crack on. So Hunter doesn't work, Jane Pond doesn't work, I'm assuming it's the ADF, I don't know. World of Commodore demo doesn't work as well. So you can, I think, mess around with some settings. There's something up here. Is it up here? No, I don't know what. No. Anyway, right. So let's get Shadow the Beast. I should have really rename these because I don't quite know where my other discs have gone for Shadow the Beast. Tell you what, let's have Cannon for it. Which you do not need the controller for. So again, it's a floppy emulated, so it's going to be floppy loading times. Right. Click out of that. Right, so let's just click out of that quickly. Just make sure as well, before you go any further with these games, when you've got the crack throws, make sure when you go into settings and have your mouse selected as the port 2, because you won't be able to click off the crack throw. So if you come out of this now and you press start, and just use the mouse and go to insert new disk, go to ADF and click on Cannon Fodder disk 2. I don't know if you can have multiple disks like WinUAE. I don't think you can. So select the file and basically just crack on as normal, and it should hopefully load up. Yeah, there we go. First time I played this game on this, so this is a new one for me. Right, so let's click off. Let's just have the first level of this. Another thing I've noticed as well, there is no activity light outside of this. I can see one inside flashing now, so yeah. Right, okay. Oh, sorry, it was loading. I do apologise. So the right mouse button should walk, and the left mouse button should walk, and the right mouse button should fire. So the A600 mini tank mouse works brilliant with this game, as you can see just there. But the downside is there's no scroll wheel, but that's no big deal really. Right, so that was a look at 1 or 2 games and how you install games. I don't think I need to show anything else. There's just things there like save screenshot to thumb, as in like you can have it as probably a thumbnail. Save state as well. Control Alt and Alt or A and A for reset, but we're not using a keyboard today, so we're just going to quit that. And if you press select on the controller, it brings up, or it should bring up, the virtual keyboard. Oh, have I got that one wrong? Hang on, let me just go back and confirm quit on that one, because let me just get it off there. What button is it to bring up the virtual keyboard? Right, so another thing as well is if you're going over to the menus, just make sure you just wait for it to click, because if you click it and it'll click, it's a bit of a mess when you sort of like just click on it and then you'd end up clicking on the wrong thing. So just make sure, let me just get at that as well actually, system. Now if you want to bring up the virtual keyboard, just press the red button on the controller and it brings up the virtual keyboard, as you can see. So yeah, that was just a basic sort of overview on how to get the games up and running. So yeah, I'm still not quite used to it. So what we'll do, I'll give it a bit of a reset and I'll show you what it's like when I tried to attempt to use an original Amiga joystick and mouse with one of these machines. Right, now moving on to one of the reasons why I bought this machine, and it was to use one of these, and also, where is it? One of them, 9-pin mouse and a 9-pin zip stick as well. So just before we crack on, it says controller preferences. Joypads, joysticks and mice are configured in the controller preferences section, which is what I'm in now. To open the screen, navigate the system button, blah 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 blah. So it says the left and right 9-pin ports are not listed by default. To activate them, simply plug in a game controller and double hit the fire button in succession. A tone will sound to signify that the port is now activated, and it will be listed in the controller preferences list. So it should look like that. So the bottom one just there is what we're aiming to get. But now I've got 3 joysticks here and they're all working. So we'll put this into port 1. Auto file is off and we're just going to double tap it. Ah, actually that worked. So oh, that's interesting then. So I'll have that off, and we'll have that off. This is interesting now then, because it wasn't working before this. So that is very interesting. Okay, well let's try again while we're here. Let's go for Lotus 2 again, should we? Yeah, because this wouldn't work yesterday. And all of a sudden it's just pinged into life. So I've got a few other joysticks to test as well. Little 3D printed one as well. Right, okay, so this is the first time I'm using a 9-pin joystick with one of these. So ideally that should work. And it's not. So okay, so let's take out the control. No, hang on. No. No, so it should work in theory. You're getting nothing. So the controller still works. Right, I'll tell you what, let's go to the main menu and take out the controller. So let's take out the controller. Controller's disconnected. Go into, see what I mean about that? You've got to just let it do its thing and then go down. Okay, so in joystick port 1 we have a DB9 left joystick. Come out of that. Ah, now it works. There we go. Up, down. that is, so you do have to select it as well. Obviously take your controller out, but you do need the controller to access the menu mid-game. So I'm assuming if you have this plugged in and all set up, if you have a USB keyboard plugged in, you will not need that, because I think it says press F12 to access one of the menus. But we'll try that one again before I wrap this vid up. Right, okay, this should work in theory. Yeah, it works. Yeah, look at that, perfect. So, hang on, is it also fire on? Yeah, also fire was on. So we've got fire to accelerate and gears automatic. Let's just jump straight into this now. Not do nothing just yet. Right, fire, accelerate. Oh yes, that is pull back. Perfect, absolutely perfect. Yeah. Right, so I'm going to try the mouse before I wrap this video up. Yeah, I'll try this mouse. Right, so I'm going to try this mouse. It's a Wizard Development, and it's an Amiga and Atari ST, and I've clearly got Amiga selected there on the top one. So I think because we've already got the joystick selected, and I've now unplugged that, so we've got no mouse support whatsoever. So I'm going to plug this into, shall we try port number 2? Right, something's happened. Yeah. So that's going off its head. That is going off its head. Right, I need to select this with the controller, I think. So, right, is that going to work now? No, that's going off its head. Try in. No. Right, let's select that. Nope. Oh, that's making a hell of a noise. Port 2. No. I don't quite know what's happening there. Yeah, so I think the mouse requires a little bit more setup, I think. It's whenever the ball moves, the actual thing doesn't move. As you can hear there, makes a weird racket. So let's try it without that in. So the joystick's unplugged, and let's plug the mouse into, which defeats the object because you need to have them both plugged in if you want to use both of them, like so. We can, let's see, okay. No, that's still not right. No, for some reason it might be the mouse, I don't know. Maybe you need a dedicated Amiga one, but let me just unplug that. But yeah, it's for Amiga and Atari ST, so maybe not every mouse is compatible, I don't know. But let's just plug these back in. When you plug them in as well, just give them a bit of a couple of seconds just to sort of initialize as well. So right, let's come out of our, I don't think I need to show anything else. Let's go to games and applications. Yeah, so that's it really for the setup and the whole sort of running the machine. In terms of specs, as I say, I'm not going to go into it because, you know, there's loads of information online and videos, and I'll link something in the description as well. So yeah, that was a little look at the A600GS from Amiga Kit. Now I'm going to give you my final thoughts on it. Yeah, so not a bad little device. It does not run WHD load games. It's ADF and HDF, is it? Hard disk file. And yeah, it's just basically an A500 Mini in a black box. That is how Chris described it when we were sort of looking at it at the show at the weekend.
I think that last thing we looked at is a very good product. It sits well beside the A500 Mini. I think if you had the A500 Mini, maybe you wouldn't be tempted by that. But if you don't, then that's a great alternative. The A500 Mini runs at A1200, roughly an A1200 with an 030 accelerator.
Right.
Whereas that is running, what do you say, 6 times the speed of a 600, an A600?
Something like that, yeah.
But it also runs, he said it will also happily run AGA. So let's say it's about the same. I would guess. Maybe it's faster than the A500 Mini.
I'm tempted, like I'm really tempted. It just looks better than...
It does actually.
I know.
It does look better. But it's ARM with software emulation rather than FPGA,
yeah.
But the price reflects that. It's a very affordable product.
Now there's this little plate at the back which gets quite annoying as well. It just seems to rattle around, and it just, when you're trying to put the power in, it seems to get sort of caught there. So yeah, maybe better if it was like a bit more flatter. Another thing as well is there should be emulated sound, I think, for floppy disks. There's no emulated sound. And also there should be some sort of status light maybe at the front as well. There is a status light sort of thingy in there. You can see through the grill, but it's nice just to have a little status light, just to flashy, just to let you know if it's loading or not. As I say, a normal, any sort of like, that's 16 gigabyte USB stick formatted to FAT32, so that works quite well. The whole thing, as I say, it does work quite well. Bit disappointed that there's no browser, like I've said. I thought that they'd have a dedicated sort of browser and you could go surfing the internet and all that. I'm not talking YouTube or anything like that, just something, you know, you could just sort of use maybe on a daily basis. But other than that, £133, and I do believe that these are now getting shipped on pre-orders. So these were available to buy at the time I bought this at the Nottingham Amiga Expo. So yeah, and yeah, it's a good little device. As I say, it's going to be it will get used, and it's got me, like I mentioned, if you've seen the vlog of the Nottingham video, it's got me back into the Amiga, should we say. So yeah, not an Amiga branded product. This is Amiga Kit's very own product. This is just built, I think, from the ground up, like they've said. I think I've read somewhere in the past they've said that. They've got their own little stamp on the board as well, which is like a homage to the Amiga 500 with the B52 song as well. So yeah, all in all, it's is that plastic case as well, it's not metal. So, but yeah, the real reason I got it was for that. And as you can see there, the mouse just needs a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more looking into, should we say. But the joystick works fine, and the whole thing just works well in my opinion anyway. But yeah, really good little piece of kit, and I hope I get many more sort of years of use out of it. And this as well. Now, like I mentioned before, that is a little bit cheap, and I don't know the longevity on that, how long it's going to last, and can you buy replacement ones? I haven't looked on Amiga Kit's website, but can you buy new ones of these? But I don't know if Amiga Kit have made these from the ground up, but they do feel very Chinese like, should we say. But I did try that before. I thought that might have worked. I could have used that over that, but no, it's just totally and utterly different inside. So yeah, that's that was a look at this little machine, and a great little machine. I'm always, you know, up for new sort of Amiga related emulation style boxes and all that. Will it rival the A500 Mini? I don't know. You can plug a keyboard into this like you can with the Mini, and it's essentially just acts exactly like the Mini. However, the Mini does run on WHD load, and this will not load at the moment, or if they do any future updates, it's just purely ADF and HDF files, so just be aware of that before you buy it. There's no internet browser, and yeah, so you can use them, as I say, and you can't use them on an A500 Mini unless you get an adapter. So yeah, yeah, pretty good, cool machine. Thank you very much to Amiga Kit for bringing this to my attention and reinvigorating my passion for Amiga games. And on that note, cheers for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.
Nice shooting, son. What's your name?
Siri.